Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. We're going to be reviewing Viking Moon today, and this is a kind of odd one in that the two creators on it don't really have much of like a cachet in this store. Like nobody's come in saying, "I can't wait to get the latest written by Joe Pruitt or art by Marcelo Frusin," but it still ended up being quite a popular comic book just down to the core idea. And I've got to admit, core ideas go, this is pretty solid. Like, let's go back to early Norse exploration of the North American continent, fighting indigenous Americans, and let's throw some werewolves in. I mean, come on, how's this not already a movie? As core concepts go, it is French chef's kiss good. But as somebody who studies history, like literally I've got my degree in it, history and heritage, I tend to have to try to turn little bits of my brain off so I don't get too bogged down looking at stuff from like a historian kind of thing. Sometimes it's easy to do. Like some people put a lot of effort into trying to go for authenticity and it shows. Other people try to give the illusion of authenticity and then it fails because they're trying so hard to make it look like it is, but it clearly isn't. I'm thinking of movies like Braveheart off the top of my head. But then you've got writers like Bernard Cornwell and even the guy who wrote the Flashman books, who's a bit of a racist, so yeah. But still, really good writer, who really do put the effort into like finding out a lot of stuff, and they also make it so exciting you can just go with it and have fun with it. In this one, when I was just flicking through it, I very quickly was like, oh, because it's just odd little things, you know, when you spend quite a lot of time looking at Viking history, and one of those is the reason why you would see axes more than swords when it comes to how hard it was to gain access to the ores and stuff needed to create steel. Like, having an actual full-length steel sword was a huge sign of status because you had enough clout to get that much material to make it for that reason. So when I'm just flicking through and I see 3 Vikings wandering around, 1 with bow and arrow, 2 with swords, I'm a bit like, But that was minor. That's this little thing which I'm like, yeah, okay, it just looks a bit better on the page, but you know, I do like the bearded axe. I think that would be better for me. But my biggest problem comes down to something which I'm going to stress right from the get-go here. I do not think either Joe Pruitt or Marcelo Frusin was doing this for the reasons why it bugged me. I think it's just one of those things that if you look at the actual history of what happened here, with the idea that Native Americans fought off the Vikings but then didn't fight off the English when they arrived centuries later, you can kind of put your own idea onto it. You can put your own spin onto how these things kind of worked. The truth of the matter was a lot less Vikings turned up than English, and when the English turned up, there had been generational plague and famine, which had really, really weakened the indigenous Americans. But if you want to have your idealized white European Viking type, you kind of need to have a reason that's better known, or at least easy to understand, than there was just more of them and less of the Vikings. So they were like, yeah, let's have the werewolves do it. Yeah, that makes sense. But when I saw that idea, my first thought was, that's cool, make a movie. My second thought was, it's a little bit too reminiscent of a whole bunch of white European scientists, historians, and sociologists looking at North American, South American cultures before the white people turned up, and the amazing architectural things they did, not just there, but in Africa as well, and in Asia, and just being like, well, there's absolutely no way these people could have done that before the whites turned up, it must be aliens. And it's such a common idea that these entire TV shows and TV networks that do this kind of thing, and it does bug me because it's based on an idea of colonial racism. In this case, like I say, I do not think in any way, shape, or form that's what they were doing. I would be curious if they had any Indigenous Americans actually take a look at this and see what they thought on it. But I'm just going to be talking about how much I enjoyed it just as a concept, and it looks fantastic. Yeah, the writing is great. Pruitt does a really, really good job of building up tension. There is this fantastic sense of openness and emptiness, but also weirdly claustrophobic at times. And he writes really good dialogue for the characters. There's no way to know exactly how Viking raiders would have spoken, but I do think it feels authentic to the point that we can understand what he was trying to do with it. And Marcelo Frusin is amazing. Like, his bold line work is brilliant. He leaves an awful lot to the colorist to do, because he doesn't really do hatching and shading. He does a very hard black shadows, but the colorist is brilliant and does such a fantastic job that, if anything, the lack of shading that he puts in there gives the colorist freedom to really go to town and add depth and richness to it, and add depth to the field of play as well. It's genuinely a fantastic comic book, great fun to read, and looks amazing. I just have some thoughts. That's it for you now, though. Until I see you all again, look after you, everyone. Stay safe. Bye!